And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to APAC North. We're done with game one, and now we're on to our second Damwon game in Kia versus Mantis FPS, formerly known as Cloud9. Now, will they continue on the roll, like I mentioned before the break, or will it stop here? Defeating Cyclops is already pretty impressive. Defeating Damwon Kia, that is also another level. So can they break it through? Let's talk about Mantis first. Fresh, this squad has good decorations over the past year and a half, but they've had a rough stage too.
It's been a roller coaster journey with them. They started stage one, nice and high, flawless. Stage two, it was fairly rough for them. There's potentially stuff going on behind the scenes, especially with the organization dropping them. Stage three, they came out the first play date, they went up against Cyclops, and they put in, I'd say, a good performance. I think they were fortunate that Cyclops were poor in play day one. If Cyclops were on form, it might have been a different result, but you can only beat what's in front of you. So they've got another test here in terms of probably the second best team in the region.
Yeah,
would you be fair
I would
to
say
say?
that's fair to say.
Yeah. Especially in terms of the two teams that went to the major and kind of did well. So I think today's a real test for them, and it's kind of, are Mantis back is a question in my head. If they win today, it's probably a yes.
Damwon Kia on the other side, what can they do to stop Mantis? Whether to bring you on the board, Jess?
I think always that transition between we are hitting shots in a mere millisecond at a LAN environment to now we're back online and I'm versing into regionally between Japan, Korea, etc. I think that that's the kind of thing that you need to get back in your head. You might not, although I know a lot of the teams here in APAC North are fortunate enough to live or play in the same house or kind of functioning area. So I think that a lot of them are used to being around each other and formatting it that way. I do think, however, it is a much different environment. It's a much different feel. And the hype that you have at a major, for example, won't necessarily carry over to the regular season games. So I hope after that first week humbling, they will sort of walk in and go, all right, we almost lost that. That's something we don't need to do again. And I think they'll carry that on into this play day.
I certainly hope so for them. It keeps kind of morale up after that Mexico performance. You need to keep it going, keep it on moving. We'll see if they can make it to the November major, APAC finals, and of course to 6 Invitational, where dreams and careers are made. I mean, so many have been made. We still see them competing to this day. So there's a lot on the line for this, for both of these teams and their future. Which map will we be on for this best of 1 series? My next question. 7 map pool, 6 are down and 1 is left, and we're going to go to Oregon with Damwon Kia banning out Bank. Yes, Jess, you look at me with that face.
I mean, if you missed out on Playday number 1, this is exactly where Mantis wanted to go, and they were fortunate enough to beat one of the best teams in APAC North of Cyclops on Oregon specifically. So for Damwon Kia to have the choice between Bank and Oregon, they had a choice between being able to counter-strat on Oregon and knowing exactly what Mantis are going to do, or going up against a complete unknown quantity that Bank is. I know that you would probably agree with me that Oregon is the right choice if you want to be prepared for Mantis, because you know they're on a new wave of a resurgence. But I don't know if going to a map where clearly they're strong on is the gamble you want to take.
This is Damwon suffering from their lack of map pool. Damwon Kia. I think, especially if they don't play Bank, obviously we don't know, they let it through to the last ban here.
Yeah.
But if they don't play Bank, then they're forced to go to Oregon through their kind of reduced map pool.
Reduced map pool in Oregon is kind of, you're like, this is an outlier in our pool.
That's true. Not
Imagine
everyone likes
saying
Oregon.
that.
And I do refer to it as Borrigan. I have to put my hands up and say it is a bit of a Borrigan for me. But I will say that they have a flawless record on this map since June the 1st. That's where I bring my statistics back and have a little bit of a look. Since June the 1st, they did manage to beat Cloud9, now Mantis FPS, last stage on this map. So they've already got a good record on it. It wasn't a thrashing. It was a 7-4, but that shows that they can beat Cloud9 on it. And then they beat Talon, they beat Guts, and then of course in the APAC playoffs, they beat Elevate on it as well. So against a wide variety of teams, you know, we've seen some good things from Damwon Kia on this map, and they haven't lost in recent history on it outside of the major.
And that's the thing about Damwon Kia, is that they've got a small map pool, but they are good on the maps they do play. That's why they, in my mind, they're a very good best of 1 team, because, you know,
good way to put it.
When I was looking at maps, I was thinking it would be Oregon or Clubhouse. Either way, they're 2 good maps for Damwon Kia.
There you go. You have to beat them at their best.
I mean, we don't know if they're at their best right now. After looking at last Playday's performance a week ago and what Mantis offered in day one, this is a proving ground game for both of these two.
Yeah.
This is probably going to set up the rest of the stage for either one of these two teams, because it's always teams. All right, we are up against one of the top in the region. This is the proving ground. The others should be more of a, cakewalk in comparison. That's at least the hope. But Just Fresh, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to go to Oregon. Damwon Kia versus Mantis FPS, and it's Hap and M that are slapping everything on the table, getting ready to go. Let's throw them over. Throw it over to them. Yes, there you go.
Good morning. That was an panicked and unexpected transition.
Totally not.
To this side of the room at all. We didn't have loads of things on the desk, but what we do have on the desk officially is a banger of a match.
We do have a banger of a match that is about to come up.
Yeah.
Yeah, just quickly, I had to hide my water bottle, so sorry.
Well, now you've given the game away. You could have said anything. You could have said something.
We're coming up to the point where...
You just said you had to hide your motorbike.
Sorry, yeah, I had to hide my motorbike, my $10,000 gaming PC that's on the back of it.
Which you just threw off the side like an
I
animal.
threw off to the side.
Yeah.
Who cares? Either way.
Hi, welcome.
This is going to be a way more exciting match. It's going to be, Damwon Kia, who, according to many, could be one of those new hopes in APAC, up against Mantis FPS, who, of course, used to be at the top of the leaderboards here. So let's see if they can try and come back, because they had a good first game, Mantis, that is. But the same, of course, can be said for Damwon Kia.
Yeah, Mantis had a fall from grace. If you're unaware, they are ex-C9. They are the team that for a long time were that strong team in this region. They were undefeated for a very, very long period of time. And then things kind of went a little bit wrong. Things sort of went a bit astray. They've given some of their reasoning behind it. They said that at the beginning of the last split, Nova, I believe, suffered an injury that affected his neck and affected how he could play the game, which is why he kept on being in and out across games all across this split, which, it doesn't happen. A long injury in any sort of trial is never good. And now they're saying, we as a unit are recovered, we're stronger than we were, and proving it in their opening 2 Playdays against Cyclops, and now Damwon Kia is the ultimate test.
Yeah, that is going to be the big test indeed. It's, basically the second out of the 3 teams you would see them like to perform against to really find out if they're back again. Of course, Fnatic being the third that they would need to get over. But if they manage to win this one, they're already on a good way back towards a potential playoff spot, or maybe even just go straight up to that major that will happen at the end of this stage in November.
All right. Now, across the board, in those bans, nothing too out there. The Ying is a specific banning as a specific playstyle. Otherwise, we're kind of in normality here with the removals there. You've got Valkyrie, you've got Thatcher off the board is going to cause some of the problems. I still think, usually that Ying would be replaced by, potentially something like a Maverick, potentially something like a Hibana to limit some of the stretch in terms of the hard destruction, the hatch control, if you're pushing against the basement. But what we've actually seen, especially in APAC North, is an extension around the E-Box hatch anyway. They pull themselves up, leave meeting as a bit of a play space that they can manipulate. With these 2 teams as well, you always run the risk of things like a Ying, these sharp operators, being something that gets done. Both teams like to execute quickly if they have that opportunity.
You have to keep in mind as well, though, the Cade is open. That's often an operator that does get removed as well. So when we do get to go to the basement at some point, that might come into play with keeping these hatches closed, forcing the players to use the gun 6s from below, or maybe even try and get some grenades in from Freezer or the laundry stairs to open up the denial that might be there. Envy Taylor, however, aggressive, spots out one of those drones and thus will have to relocate. With a pre-fire coming around as he creates himself a new rotation, or a new way out. So as he successfully escapes, the first E1D will pop as well.
And it's also worth mentioning as well, Ivatiel is Envy Taylor and Nova is Nova. Same players, slightly new tags, cool energy, but not a great opening for their team. Katsang is able to find the first here as Harper goes down on the stretch here on the small tower. They are sprayed round into the fight. The line is just going to pop off, see if they can catch them in the shower corridor, but it's the Rin swing. Round the side of the shower, is able to get one more secured there. Thought they could try and hold in, didn't want to try to risk escaping under the E1D.
2 early kills here for Damwon Kia. just continue their clearance from the bottom floor and of course the first floor as well. Untitled is still around though in the split. There's the opportunity to go down to meeting or to the lobby depending on what is necessary, and it seems like we'll be going to go for a bit of a big flank inside of the classroom. Has the opportunity to hide from below. Often it's necessary to clear out mute jammers from said position. But this time, however, not so much. Coated already going for the breach and will be relocating as a result.
MANTIS going for something aggressive, finds the man, drops the diffuser as well, but with a minute 20 they have plenty of time to try and recollect that as well. A body is not too far away. They're still in the 4 versus 3 situation, but we're now looking at MANTIS have entirely pulled themselves back towards the side, buried themselves in the core around that sort of just off the side of Trophy. I think they've realized that the push is coming from the double window, is going to come from white stairs. They've formulated themselves around that now. They have a backline, they have a lot of utility that's probably not going to get tested too much. This, however, could be a bit of a game away. Nova just spots the drone of the Iana, who's not going to risk taking the fight. Still has a grenade in pocket, but you assume that there's an ADS buried just around the short drop underneath the attic.
Definitely so. Shao using that breach to his advantage, looking if he can maybe play that, be a bit sneaky, but as you said, DK not really feeling like going from that side. They want to go from the double window, they want to go from the white stairs, and that's exactly what they're setting up to do right now. There's 34 seconds left on that clock. Time is slowly running out. Yes, is starting to come up and try and help. The jump in will be there. There's 25 seconds and the diffuser's dropped.
Straight into the smoke canister there. They try to make a risk and it's not paying off here across the board. The reformulating of the defensive MANTIS has been able to absolutely tear them apart, read entirely where it was coming from. Katsang is well aware there's a body underneath. They have 2 different angles on the second story too. No real way through as the gate gets opened as well. Katsang has no option but to sort of pull away, and from what was 2 very early losses, the length of time it took Damwon Kia to find themselves putting pressure onto the site, MANTIS were able to build themselves back in.
I think they may have made Jesus.
It's all right. It's early.
They may have made a small mistake. There we go. That's the effect from waking up early. Either way,
6 a.m. drilling.
It's a 6 a.m. drilling from the engineering crew, and it doesn't matter. Either way, by going through the window, because you have that 2-minute advantage. It might have been a better way to go through the bedroom, go through attic, and go through Trophy, of course, which is 3 angles at the same time. That way, you would have had a little bit more play space than just pushing in through the window, because you just saw how that ended. All guns were pointed at the same direction, so DK might have gotten a bit too confident there with their setup and their execute, whereas there was probably a better option available to them.
Down to the basement, we start to find that extension. As you said, Kaid is often banned here, doubled up with the solidity that the Clash offers too. That extension, that battle round that we'll probably see play out here. Nova is trying to dig through the last remnants of the wall.
And it's going slowly and steadily.
He's making his way. I think Shael just said,
there we go.
There you go. Dug his way through, didn't want to use any more of the ammo, and sets themselves up with that rotation. The Clash is so versatile in this situation, especially with a team that can communicate as well. And if Damwon Kia is slow on the approach, could be a bit nightmarish for them, because they already struggled. They got such a good lead, such a good opener, and then from that point onwards, we're a bit slowed down. There's the catch. That's a little claw placement for your rank stack.
It's a nice little, small things that you can see you can implement into your ranked games, and suddenly you win a lot of more rounds because of it. Unless you're completely getting out-aimed. In that case, the extra class won't help you that much. But sometimes they're a good addition to your strategies. Either way, DK already far inside, actually. Yas taking a bit of damage down on Blue, is being challenged by Harper, I believe. That is coming around the corner. This grenade that just popped up. Luckily, didn't take any damage there, Harper. However, as you saw, Katsang, Rin, and Boogeyman, well, they are getting ready on the freezer side.
Yeah, it was to open that sort of soft from a bit of safety and range, not spray through and get caught out in the midst of a reload animation. They give themselves a bit of a buffer. If they caught a body, that would be a given. But here, this is what we're sort of pointing towards and looking at, is where this Clash ends up, because they can hold this stairs for as long as they can cause a problem, put them in a tricky situation, as Katsang's going to find out sooner rather than later. Rin is doubling down from above as well. Popping open the rotation will give them more of an idea of where this pressure is coming from. We'll probably see the Clash pull back just a bit towards the pillar if the pressure gets a bit too hot here, as we can sort of see them flirting with the idea, because if they get caught out on a corner, if a grenade comes round and they suddenly find themselves isolated, well, it's not going to be a long fight for them.
No, that's definitely not going to be helping them too much. And I'm also wondering if there's been any magnets used to protect the Clash there, because definitely going to be priority number 1 for those grenades in that case, because there's not much else they can do against it. First adrenaline surge is about to wear off, and that probably will be followed up with a second one as they try and take a little bit more ground. As Boogeyman still trying to drone out, trying to figure out where the defenders exactly are. Grenade is being cooked, but waiting for the drone before it's finally going to be tossed in. They need to have the information to get these pieces of utility in the right places.
DWG are thoroughly checking every single entrance onto the site as well. They've got a presence on every single major staircase and inlay into the ground floor. They're seemingly trying to find the loose Mantis players, as they were so successful in the first round doing here, but they're not having any of them offered. So instead, they've been able to actually take a huge amount of land onto the site with a much quicker pace than they were before. They've accidentally and incidentally focused themselves entirely on towards it, and you can see Envy Taylor wants to try and fight back, but isn't quite sure what the good, comfortable swing is. The way DWG has got here uncontested means that they have a lot of comfort on this final setup here for the 30 seconds.
Grenade comes in, that will be dealing a little bit of damage to the Clash, actually over half, but it's going to get taken out. Nova not able to find a second though, however 2 kills come in and Shao will be able to trade. There's 20 seconds left and Boogeyman with the adrenaline surge is about to be storming in.
Takes the swing, Envy Taylor finds one, Katsang gets a bit of revenge. The Clash is still isolated on Laundry, but almost gets dropped there. The swing and the pre-fire onto the corner. They need to try and recollect the diffuser to see if they can get it down. Katsang is now the only one left. He has it, but he still has a Clash and he knows he's not going to get much further. Doesn't go down, but DWG twice in a row. They found themselves with a little bit of a positioning problem, I think.
Well, the first one maybe a little bit more because well they had the opening kills, right? But they managed to I think still make their own choice, which costed them the round. If looking at this one, they had a lot of the control. They just weren't able to quite get the kills necessary, and that started off with, of course, the Clash that was being so, well, annoying. Just making sure they couldn't really be walking in. It would be slowed down, afraid to be fired upon. And that just left them with little to no choice than just push in and hope for the best. Well, Mantis managed to get the upper hand out of that one. Clash now being 6 picked away will be the Mozzie. Line will turn into a Maverick. Just a little bit of an extra heart breach potential. We're playing on the rear stage and we're playing in the kitchen. The dining hall will be skipped for now. Not going to see that. Maybe in a second try around from the side of Mantis, or maybe if DWG wants to play that instead. It's at least a good start here for Mantis. It seemed, you know, in the first minutes of the match, it seemed like, okay, if this is going to be the tone that DWG is going to be setting, then this might be a very quick game. However, managed to fight back from it, and now they have 2 rounds in a row. So Mantis, if they keep this up, they're definitely in a good spree.
I think that's it right now. Is DWG, although they're 2 rounds down, I think that their shortcomings, their failure to implement themselves onto the site, it is something that they'll be aware of. They found themselves limited in terms of time in the first round. They were trying to do a lot more clearance than they otherwise would. The second time round, you could sort of see that the push was a little bit, you know, it was tat for tat. They were trying to get intel in between each next gunfight. Because to be fair, it's tricky. It's a 5-on-5 and you've got 30 seconds left. You need to try and keep that awareness of where everybody is. You can't just drive yourself into a pocket of space. But with that little bit of hesitation from Boogeyman round into the freezer side, at the same time as the push failing against the Clash in the middle, it's that sort of sharpness that we're used to seeing from them that didn't quite hit the mark there, and could have very easily, if they, as I said, they're more than likely to be like, okay, we can pick this back up.
Definitely so. Rin doesn't know he might be under a bit of pressure. Nova, of course, playing in security near Harper. Stewart just trying to hold on for now, but they definitely heard there was one in the showers corridor. Is coded now. Going up quickly inside of the dining, throwing in some of these flashbangs. They really want to take control quickly. Grenade follows up as well, but will not be able to find anything as of yet. Oh, tried to bend it, but failed to do so. That might be a Cade Claw up high.
Yeah, Nova in the meantime is able to take care of Katsang. The sledge goes down. They've lost you know, one of their 5 remaining grenades, 4 left now at this point, so they can still try and put the pressure on it. They thought they could catch the claw, but we've already seen clever claw plays from them before. Nova slips past and finds a fight back in as Envy Taylor gets one, with Rin getting the shot off above. They're pushing for the verticality, which is a very important part, and they've decided to just try and drive themselves all the way across into the Dawn's side. White Stairs is being locked off by Woogieman on the backside. They have a minute 20, plenty of time, but time is something that has cost them a little bit before. And I think this pace from Rin to drive themselves up and back into at least a body from the opponents is something they really need to try and harness.
Definitely so. I like how they're upstairs, but they're not really trying to get rid of the electrical. I believe it might be in the bunk beds there, but might not be really aware on the side of the Damwon Kia. Grenades being tossed out, however, both will be in the 90 corner. Nova will still be safe. The plant goes down in the meantime in the back of the kitchen, and no one seems to be aware. Nova trying to go for the rotation here, has the opportunity to maybe catch Woogieman off guard. That is going to be the diffuser down. Oh no, catches his SMG here. Will be able to pick up the kill. Last member will be upstairs. It's Rin. Has a bit of a vertical to play with, but needs to be careful because there is going to be... Oh no, it didn't go off. That is going to be absolutely detrimental. The push is going to be coming in from above. There's going to be 2 players. Needs to drop the hatch now to make sure that this defuse doesn't happen. It's going to be triple kill. There's going to be the defuse in the end to come through. Nova is going to have plenty of time to get that final point on the board.
Yeah, they threw so many of them upstairs to take that fight there. Nova's able to lock it out and at least get them the security on the end. But it was, as I said, that sort of drive above. The not popping off on the roof, not getting themselves that angle. It's that little bit of a frustrating moment there when you know you're in such a tricky situation and you know that you have so many more bodies left up. The spray almost came through for them across the top 2 bodies. You know, it was the smart move going for the single take on the person below. You don't really expect everybody to charge up like that.
No, it was literally 3 people running up the white stairs.
It was 3 people up white stairs.
And 1 down below.
And, you know, and we're sitting here with Omnipotence. Dropping the hatch in that situation could have been a play that pulled them out a little bit, but they would have lost the verticality, so they sort of had that weighing up as a possibility there as well of you need to hold in, and it was a bit of a flip of the coin of who could connect heads first, and again, close round.
See, the thing there was, if they would have been aware that 3 people were coming upstairs, you just killed the one that was coming or downstairs at the hatch. You drop, you use the long angle inside of the dining, for example, you'd have bought yourself maybe 10 extra seconds if you played that smart. Then you could have won the round, but either way, Mantis with a very good retake, just sending everybody up to the top 4 as soon as they realized who the last player was, managing to retake it. And with that, they have completed the rotation. They will go back to that top floor. See if there's going to be any of the different kind of setups. They probably want to avoid losing 2 players that early on, as they did in round number 1. Because that could have actually come back to bite them, but it didn't, of course, in the end. Great cross angles were being held. The push to come through the big window was denied. And there's Damwon Kia. Well, they also need to adapt just slightly.
Static, what are you waiting for? Well, apparently they're waiting for you as well. Decided not to try and potentially go for a punch, a bit of aggression and a bout on a fight outside on this front door, but it's still toying with the idea if the drone doesn't quite catch them. It's something about Damwon Kia's approach is it is quite separate. We saw this from them before. They spread themselves across the entirety of Oregon. They see if they can get angles across the board. That doesn't mean they then push that way. They sort of leave drones and attribute them to get those eyes in, and here it's a similar take as before. This time they haven't been rewarded by the 2 early kills though.
Not yet, indeed. There's still a bit of time left to get them, and Rin is looking to try and find someone as he's playing in the showers, of course. Droning out, trying to get the information, but there will be Mew Gemmers all around, so Harper might be able to protect himself there. As Rin is trying to get these drones in, has one in security now, will be taken out, but at least the confirmation of a player still being there is indeed in their pockets or in their minds. So we'll hold some very tight angles here.
Harper's expecting a little bit of pressure here across the board, knows that Damwon Kia can move at the drop of a pin and is kind of waiting for that pin to fall, but they're not actually trying to apply that pressure directly. They want to make sure that they have a little bit more solidity, and I think it seems like they're picking up sticks and heading over to potentially a trophy take instead. Yep, there they are. They had that open before, but they kind of ignored it. They need to diversify their push and their approach a little bit. Shio Well, he wants to take this fight on the swing round. The drone is inactive, but he knows as soon as he drops it, it may as well have spotted him. It's actually Rin that gets the opener. The spray of the E1D leads to a second there for Rin on the far side, and that's going to put them in this 5 versus 3 situation again.
Those were the two roamers, however, the two that were playing downstairs. So Shao still in a very good position, about to be spotted out there. There's 2 drones. One will be coming in, taken out as well as the rotate back up comes, but there is, I believe, a player indeed repelled up onto the armory window. Cannot move Shao. That would have been the perfect moment to try and go for that peak, but at least now he's going to be allowed to rotate all the way back up and back into the side as well. Somehow not caught off.
I mean, that was 3 drones and 2 players in 2 different positions there, and they weren't able to catch him under an E1D as well. That's that disconnect I was talking about with DWG before. That is that sort of slip up in terms of the positioning and the pace that they're usually so good at. Now, as they find themselves with 20 seconds left on the same approach they had before, there is yet again another player that's underneath, but Rin is making sure that they can get a bit of a lockdown on it. Sprayed and just keeps pushing, ignores that body, knows there's one more covering it. There is the spray across in the fight. Coded fight Denby Taylor. They've got that security underneath. They've put more pressure now. Coded's trying to stick the diffuser in the meantime, but a canister pushes them to a 3rd tricky position. He slips past. He's able to find the spray, and they win it.
No way! How do you win this?
They took the fight by a single player, and that disconnect across Damwon Kia strikes yet again.
So what happened there was, as soon as the smoke rotated through, it's like, here's coming kids, here's coming kids. So what happened is, the Hibana decided to go to a different spot to go for the plant, but there was not enough time to re-engage the plant again. There was no way that that would have been the opportunity to go for that kill. The angle was covered off. They had to expose themselves and crawl through, and that would have been covered off. But as you said, it's a bit of disconnect. They managed to go for a great kill onto the player in security. That was the Nitro that was about. That could have been the round-winning factor for Mantis, but in the end, the round-winning factor was the fear, I guess, inside of the Hibana that decided to just not go for the plant in the end there and decided to just go off, find a better spot as the timer hit 0.
Now, it's good to take the tactical timeout now. I think at this point you've sort of gone just one over the rotation, but the problem is that missteps, those little moments of not quite being able to capitalize on the mistakes that Mantis are doing, and especially the sort of pressure that Damwon Kia are able to apply, because they can, and they know they can, and that's the frustrating thing, and you can sort of see it on their expressions now, is they're frustrated with this, because they know that they should be able to connect these dots. They can tell you what the picture is supposed to be, but for some reason, when they step away from it, they're just, you know, they're running out of ink with the pen. It's not quite coming together as the art piece it's supposed to. And Mantis keeps slipping away with these rounds.
It should have been 2-2, maybe even 3-1 if one of those rounds just flipped the other way in the coin flip. And DK will be very well aware, but Mantis, they are absolutely on a tear right now, managing to clutch these up. That's big for the motivation of the team, of course. If you manage to get it time and time again, it's the adrenaline that keeps on going. Whereas it might be a bit of a hit towards Damwon Kia, because no matter what they try, somehow they just fall short. It was a 4v1 in that situation. And yet, they weren't able to win it there due to that bit of disconnect. Not being certain whether or not the cover was exactly there. It could be a miscommunication that came through. Of course, we don't know. So many reasons why a planter could go off, why Kota could decide to just suddenly go for a different attempt to go and plant. Maybe it was a call to come through. You're currently not safe, you know? It's something in those terms that will force you to go off. Either way, Mantis, they will have those 4 rounds, and they will stay with them for the remainder of this matchup. We all know how important these rounds may be at the end of a stage, at the end of a year, when relegations could be coming into play. Saw that the Major, the first ever, as the entry comes in onto Yas. Tiebreaker that was. It's going to be a great start here for Mantis in this 5th defensive round.
Shile, still yet to die. He's been able to get himself to 600 across the 3 stats on his board, and it sort of fills you with the world because you look across the board. Yas hasn't been able to find anything, neither has Woogieman, and then Coded and Katsang only have 4 kills between them. It is Rin that is this driving force I talked about before, where that's the energy that they sort of needed, that sharpness, that ferocity, and it's not quite working around the rest of the board. Across that, you can't obviously just build behind that, but still, something that this team usually excels at is having a lot of these active firefighters, these active gunners, to step up in all these sort of myriad and mixed situations, and they've just not quite been able to get that connection here so far. It's timeouts on rounds more than anything, to be fair, rather than actual just being shot down and gunned out of the situations. But here, I guess we want to see what the change in that tactical timeout is. The Clash is once again playing around T1, just sort of waiting.
Yeah. Also, Yas, by the way, normally the top fragger, one of the best players in APAC, if not the best in the last stage, and not able to find a single kill to connect to yet. Doesn't really help out DK at this very moment. So Rin has to carry that burden to try and make up for it. So far it does quite well, 7 kills, but now we'll run into the Clash. There's not much you can do against that. Not alone at least. You have, of course, these concussions you can try and use. Someone needs to be there, though, to really go for the engagement. As Coded almost loses his head.
Yeah, very dangerous flash there. Maybe didn't expect someone to actively be behind the shield, but the spray comes through. It's a power position that's held by a lot of people, and it was held by Mantis FPS on the last swing round. They use it to, I guess, peek either side of the freezer side. That's Clash getting the intel. There it is, though. MV Taylor's able to get one. Can't quite find the second as Woogieman and Katsang push up. Double down inside the freezer, keep things a little bit cool. 40 seconds, they're waiting for them to make a bit of a mistake and an important rotation to come over towards the laundry stairs. They need to have a little bit of split pressure. If they try and throw themselves in from just the freezer side, it won't go well. So that's an important player that Nova is in the job of locking down, because the Clash has gone for a little bit of a walkabout here, making things uncomfortable. And there it is, Rin goes down in laundry. It's just the 2 players, but one more is off the board. It's a Clash bullying Katsang on the door here, not letting them get anywhere or see anything. Unfortunately, your name is not on the list, Katsang. You are not allowed entry. Is at least able to finally find one.
This has time. He might have time. He might have time. Oh, it was. Oh, if he would have gone for the actual corner, he would have been able to clutch it there. Somehow managed to find him back into a position where he could almost win it. You don't believe it at that point. It's the Clash just trying to block it off. Of course, has the stagger effect, which eventually led to the downfall. Of course, Mantis will still be able to pick that up. That would have been a completely opposite round, you know? How
honestly,
Mantis managed.
Yeah.
I just see a face here like, no way, that almost went. 3
seconds to winning. That would have been one of the worst throws I think I would have ever seen.
Yeah.
Mantis. If I'm going to talk about how some of these rounds should be wake-up calls for Damwon Kia, Mantis, come on now. Come on now, Mantis.
I just saw your face as it turned into almost being the winner. You're like, surely not.
Surely not.
That's not allowed. Almost was allowed, of course, just not. But for now, Mantis, 0-5, really setting the pace here against the team that came the furthest in the Mexico Major. For, of course, the side of APAC. And with that, Mantis, well, we've been asking the question, are they back? Well, if they manage to get a solid result here, it's definitely starting to look like the pressure or whatever it was they were suffering under has been resolved.
But with an asterisk, the last time we saw Mantis get a 6-0 side.
Oh, I don't remember that. That was also an Oregon. Oh, okay.
It was a consulate game that they then lost.
Yeah, it's still possible.
Yeah.
You know, and then comes the good old saying, there you have it. I already thought it was in the bunk bed. Indeed it is.
Having a sleep.
Just to get the thing from below. It's having a sleep, the electric bar. But yeah, then comes the good old saying we always have. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready for it.
There's always 2 sides to a game of Siege. And Katsang, well, he starts off this last attacking round they have very strongly with a kill to MV Taylor. It's going to be the entry. Not quite sure where the spawn was coming from.
Maybe.
No, there you go. Yeah. Good spot.
I'm thinking, how would he have got that kill that quick from that position and garage door was closed? Was all of my thinking there. And I was like, where do I usually get peeked from? Oh, yeah.
that could be an opportunity indeed.
It was handed to him. I mean, it doesn't signify anything as of yet, but look at this, though. I love this. They're pushing themselves straight onto the site. Yas has been able to find Nova on the backside. Suddenly, we see Damwon Kia flooding their way in, and well, now they've got to see if they can just actually make use of it. They've had this sort of lead before, and then things have gotten away from them because they've sort of found themselves a little bit stuck, and they've given Mantis a bit of space to reconvene until suddenly they only have 15 seconds left, and they try and throw themselves in on a site. Static is a bit concerned from the potential of a push that might come across the top. There is a body in Attic that I think is steadily making their way across. It is an angle you've got to pay a bit of mind to, but Harper takes the head off the first fight there.
Has to be careful though. The drone hull could, of course, you know, sell him out if he's a bit too close to it and someone gets onto an angle where they can try and fight it. But they are well aware of the fact that the push seems to be coming down this way. This shield, however, not very safe. A grenade is about to be tossed out, I believe. No, not really yet. Michelle just quickly takes the fight but falls back as well. They just need to stall as much time as possible. It's how they managed to win rounds before as Harper goes very aggressive, spots another head, not able to get the kill. Coated down to literally 5 HP.
Slips their way back in, and as he said, keeps biting, keeps trying to apply the pressure onto them. Still has the C4 in pocket, but wants to save it until time is a little bit further along. Wants to try and put as much pressure in first. There's the pop and the blow, but nobody is home as of yet. 50 seconds, the rotation is finally happening from Damwon Kia. I sort of called for a bit of Attic pressure here, but instead, it's a single player that's gone off to try and find the fight. If anyone, it may as well be Rin, because in the meantime, Harper is winning the fight on the opposite side and loses it to Shael. And suddenly, Damwon Kia yet again has found themselves trying to throw entirely in on a single side and a single aspect. Woogieman suffers from Shael popping up behind the shield like the worst kind of pop-up toy that you could get is one that entirely takes every chance of success that they could have had. And instead, they're repeatedly trying to drive it in to a place that they can't. Katsang gets one. Looks for the backpack on the Jaeger, but with only 6 seconds, it's going to have to come from the cover here of Woogieman, who does pull it off. Now with the swing around the backside, the spray just doesn't quite connect. Through the top, finally! Damwon Kia can shut out a round, but it was so close to not being theirs.
It almost went back indeed, and you know, it was that 5-on-3. It turned into a 2v3 at some point. 3 of those kills going Mantis' way. However, as you saw there, Harper was picked up first, and after that it was just a shield you really had to worry about, as there was always that bit of pressure left at the kitchen just in case they would have gone there. Both would have been an opportunity. And now 1-5. Mantis probably not too worried as of yet. It is going to be DK that know that there's going to be a tall ask for them in this second half. Starting off at Laundry Supply, DK is being swapped out for an hour. That is interesting, considering the fact that there is no Thatcher. The hatches will be used. Of course, there is a Maverick on the side of Nova, so, you know, they will be able to open it up anyway, but, you know, it's just better to let them work for it rather than give it away for free. At least I would dare to say. FO12 being brought, however, might be used on these close angles around the elbow, but gotta be careful. As soon as the freezer push starts to come in and, you know, they're already down the stairs, there's not much more you can do at that point.
5-1. They have a life.
Yes, they have a bit of a buffer.
But they have to really try and find more than that right now. It's just... it's been flat, I think is the easiest way of describing Damwon's Kia today. Is their attacks have been very flat, that sort of performance and the energy that's coming across from them. You know, Katsang started to step up after the team talk, which is great because Rin sort of needed that. But at the same time, it's just for what is such a fun team to watch and what an exciting team to watch. It's sort of uninspired. And, oh, well, there's Shael getting that opener against Rin. I mean, it was a 50-50 and it was a chance and a bit of aggression, but it's gone against them. And you hope now that the rest of the players can start to step into the mantle that Rin has been able to sort of develop here in this game.
You have to say Rin had the advantage on that peak, though. Went in first, knew exactly where it was, and went again for the repeat. You decide when you start shooting. However, Shael just a little bit quicker on the trigger, a bit more accurate there, able to pick up that first kill. It's going to be very helpful here for Mantis. As you said, DK only have a single life. If they lose this one, suddenly it's going to be match point and game point, of course, for Mantis. Drone gets taken out, then no one will be inside of the freezer stairs. The Gemini will confirm one is in security as well, and this is where the grenades could be coming in quite big if you manage to nade them into the right place. So Yana has nades, Nova has nades. There might be a synchronized grenade coming in on both these spots at the same time.
Well, there's the first one. The drop of the hatch pulls together. They realize there was the pressure, pulls away from the MANTIS. You assumed at least some of it, but look at this. Instead of trying to risk the fight either side, as the hole gets opened at the top of white stairs as well, they knew what they wanted to take control of there, and they forced them back. It was a good time waste from Damwon Kia. They knew the game they wanted to play, and it was one where they didn't die, especially as they're already at the man disadvantage. But still, there's more work left to be done. The hyper-aggression here under the laundry hatch, they want to see if they can put a little bit more pressure onto the work here. They potentially could try and impact it if Yas rotates, but it sounds like they're just going to let it pop off.
Yeah, of course, the opening was made there by the Maverick to get rid of the mute jammer that was blocking it from opening up, and now that has been done, don't need to continue that work. You can just get it done with the X-Karos pellets up there. Grenades are starting to bounce in. A lot of them are being used, but little to no damage done with them. Static, however, well, he makes the damage happen as he just runs in with the ARX.
Now let's see if they can close it down. Wamai goes for a bit of hyper-aggression, but drops down to the ground, puts them in suddenly a 3 versus 2 versus 1 versus nobody left really on the side of Damwon Kia, and MANTIS demonstrate how you attack from multiple sides of a site.
I think that is, of course, like indeed the main issue DK has had in this game. They were too one-dimensional with their attacks. Only, you know, the last very stage they went for a bit of a flank, and it was more of an afterthought than it was part of the plan, it seemed like, in that turn, in that round. And those rounds. And now what you see here is that MANTIS has a clear attacking plan. They're just setting themselves up all around, but they also all strike at the very same time from these many different angles, which give them the advantage over DK on these defensive rounds. They managed to win their gunfights as well, after the grenades don't quite do their job, but they displace the people who then tried to get back into the spots, which were then being pre-fired. So in that case, MANTIS, well, did get some use out of the grenades. They are now on match point. Not just one, not just two, but a whole 5 of them. And that is what DK needs to fight back from. They need to get 5 rounds in a row if they want to pick up a point here today and to have a shot at 2. Because 3, well, that is only a ride up and reserved by MANTIS for this matchup.
Run it back down to the laundry to see if they can actually clean up their act, but I mean, it's just not been great. And I think that's the thing here, is MANTIS, they're playing an okay game of Siege. I'm not going to say that they're having...
It's not perfect.
It's not perfect, and it's not a 6-1 game versus Damwon Kia. It's just Damwon Kia and playing some of the worst Siege we've seen them play in a while.
I was going to say, this is not what we're used to seeing from...
No, and that's entirely it. That's the thing, is they are the ones that are having a bit of a slump day. It happens, and they're going to be more aware of it than anyone else is, because... You know, if I can spot the problems, if you can spot the problems, they can definitely 100% know them, and things aren't quite connecting. But at the same time, it's still, you know, it's just one of those off days, one of those off moments. Every team has them. No one knows this more than MANTIS, who obviously went through an entire split of off days.
Yeah, they've had a terrible second split, so I'm happy to see them in a bit of a form again here. Let's see if they're going to be able to deal with these magnets. 2 of them will be used. I believe that is by flashbangs. A new smoke canister gets tossed in as well. Nova basically not taking damage, just outside of its range. As soon as they start taking care of that shield, you can only imagine what will come down next. The new magnet will get tossed out. They have most likely heard that, and that means another flashbang will be tossed out. Static with a beautiful shot onto Kota. Yas tried to go for a shot on the other side, but that's going to be the freezer under control.
That's it, the freezer pressure again. It's something that's drawing their attention. It pulls them away, and Rin suffers yet again. Shayal is able to win that firefight out between the 2 big guns. It's 6-1 and a 5 versus 3, and suddenly they're trying to retake the land as the grenades force them a bit further forward. Iana suffers. They've been able to reclaim something with Katsang getting the double, but Harper has tried to sprint their way through a sliver of health, and Katsang still has the elbow control. They're isolated, but now they're the last ones left. All the health in the world and a little bit of damage. A spray could take care of Harper. The stuns bounce around the corner. They have the diffuser they can try and protect, but a minute 20. It just takes one more timing, one more demonstration of how to attack from 2 places at once, and that is all you needed today, MANTIS, because Damwon Kia unfortunately did not show up and make it in. And for 2 weeks in a row, Bartosz is rewarded with memes to clip.
Oh, definitely. So you just saw the panic in his eyes. He's like, "Oh wait, we won! Let's quickly get up and grab the mask there." Indeed, and the thumbs up are coming out as well, as we are used to see from them. They are back. It seems like, at least for now. Not the best game we've seen Damwon Kia play, so maybe there's something to go at there. But at least they managed to beat 2 out of the, top 3 teams. You would dare to say. Only Fnatic is up next for Mantis.
I still think that there's things that Mantis can improve on. I don't think it was fantastic 6-1 siege from them today, but it was unfortunately 1-6 siege from Damwon Kia. We'll leave that to the analysts to discuss, though, as we throw it back over to them.
Thanks so much, M and Hap. Mantis